Are you still storing passwords on a file on your desktop or written down on a piece of paper, or maybe even in your Notes app on your phone? Then today's video will definitely help you. I will show you how to install your own self-hosted password manager. Not only for your personal use, but also for your whole family or small business. Because you can get the Enterprise edition of this password manager for free for up to 10 users. I've been looking for a suitable password manager for a long time, and those criteria were especially important to me. Number one, I want it to be a cloud software. I don't want to install a piece of software on my computer or anywhere else. I want it to be run in the cloud and accessible in a web browser wherever I am. Number two, it needs to be able to be self-hosted. This channel is about hosting your own services and running your own servers. Especially for passwords, I believe it's important that you know where your passwords are stored and that you can personally make sure that your passwords are stored in a secure location. Number three, Docker. I'm a Docker guy, and any software or service that can be run in Docker deserves to be checked out. And number four, should be free. I know it's a bit much to ask because cloud servers and development cost money, but still, I always try to find something that's free. Therefore, it's even better that this password manager offers a free tier plan and even offers the enterprise tier for up to 10 users for free. With those criteria in mind, I found Psono and their amazing software. So let's jump right into the terminal and start setting up Psono. And as always, you will find every command and every file that we're using and creating in the description down below to download. First, let's take care of our reverse proxy. Let's do that in Nginx and sites available. Also in the Psono documentation, they're referring to Nginx, which is my preferred reverse proxy. And they also already provide a config file for Nginx. So let's just create a new file, Psono, the sysadmin hub.com, and paste that in there. And all we need to do is to change our domain to whatever you have. So we do that here and also delete this like this. And then all the way at the bottom in here, we need to change that too. So let's do that real quick. And this file is already, oh, it's here one more time, back. Okay, and this file is already prepared for Nginx to listen to the port 10,200, which is the default port for Psono. So let's save this up. And since those are passwords that we're storing, I want it to be HTTPS, which is encrypted. So we're going to request a certificate from Let's Encrypt. And for that, we're going to stop our Nginx with systemctl stop Nginx. So port 80 is free, so we can run this command, certbot cert only -- standalone -d for domain, and then the subdomain that you've chosen for your password manager. Let me do this really quick. I think I already have one, so I want to do number 2 to renew and replace the certificate. It's going to request a new certificate for it and then store it at this location. And we're actually going to need this one, because now we need to go back into the config file for Nginx. So open it up with Vim or Nano, and then you're going to look for this SSL certificate and SSL certificate key part. And then let's just delete this one. The certificate for me is the full chain PAM. Don't forget the colon at the end. And then also the private key. Let's delete this line and then insert the private key location with semicolon at the end. Oh, I got caps lock on. That's why my keyboard was like weird to me. Okay, so now that should be all fine. We're going to save this and then systemctl start Nginx again. So our web server is running again. Okay, let me just clear this up, and then we're going to go back a directory into sites enabled and going to make a symbolic link with ln-s, and the original file is in sites available called Psono, the sysadmin hub.com. and I want to keep it that way. So now we have this symbolic link going to this config, and all we can do now is Nginx-t to test our configuration. It says everything is okay. And the last step for the reverse proxy is to test the configuration and then reload the Nginx service with Nginx-t and systemctl reload Nginx, which is okay, and it reloaded it successfully. If you enjoy my content and my videos, please leave a like and consider subscribing, since it helps out small channels like mine so much. Thank you for your support. And with that done, we can start with the configuration of our Docker container. For that, let's change into my Docker directory. I like to keep my stuff organized. That's why I have a Docker directory, and in there I'm going to make a new directory called Psono, and then let's change into this directory. In here we're going to create a file called docker-compose.yaml, and this file is provided by us by the FAQ section from Psono, but you can also download the file that I'm using from my download link in the description down below. So let's just paste it in right there. Okay, let's go over this real quick. It's going to create a database container called Psono database-YouTube for me. It's going to use Postgres as an image, and then it's going to define a user, a password that we're going to define in an env file, environment file, and then it's also going to bind a volume into it, and it will restart always. It also has a health check in here, and we're going to put it into a Psono network that we're going to create later on too. The second container is the Psono combo, which is the, you can see that here, the enterprise image from this password manager, and it also got some volumes, a settings.yaml and a config.json. We're going to create those files later on too, and we're also going to put it into this Psono network. And in here down at the bottom, I'm defining that this Psono network is an external network. So let's save this and let's do it like this first. Let's split this, and we're going to create another file, env, and then let me just copy this here, and the password is going to be this one here. So we can save this, then I don't need this one anymore. Then save this and close this. The next step is to create a settings.yaml file. Psono also provides that for us, so let me just paste that in, and then we go all the way to the top, and what we need here are some secrets that we're going to create as well. And to create those secrets, we're just going to run this command. It's a docker run command that's going to use a Docker container with the Psono combo enterprise image to run a Python 3 script to run this command generate server keys. Going to enter, and then it's going to generate those 6 keys in here that I'm just going to copy up here into my settings.yaml file. What else do we need to change here? We need to change the web client URL into our subdomain, and I believe it's down here as well somewhere. Allowed domains. Let's do that in here too, just like that. And then what else do we need to do here? The host URL also needs to be our subdomain, just like this one. And then in here, those lines here are for our email server. You need to set this up so the Psono container can send emails for resetting passwords and stuff like that. Thankfully, I'm running my own server, my own email server, so it's rather easy for me to fill those out. Let me just do this. All right, I'm not going to show you my email settings because it got my password in there. And then let's see what else is there so we don't miss anything out here, because I believe somewhere down here we need to configure something for the database. Here, database important here is going to be localhost. We're not going to use localhost in here because we're using Docker containers. So we're going to put in the container name of our database container, just like this. And also we need to use the password, which is written in this file, just to make sure it's your correct one. Let me delete this and then A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's all we have to do in here. So we can save this and close this file. And then we can test if our email settings are correct by using this command to send an email to ourselves. It's just, again, going to run a Docker container with this settings.yaml file mounted into it and running a Python 3 script with the command send test mail. If it can successfully send an email, first of all, you're going to receive the email and it's going to send you successfully send an email to, and then the email send an email. And the next part is going to be the config.json file. We're going to create this too. Config.json, either with Vim or Nano, whatever you can do best. And the nice part here again is that Psono provides us with this file, so we can copy that, paste that in. And in here, we're just going to change our URL in here to the one that we have, our subdomain. Make sure to keep the server here at the end, and also the base URL, we need to enter our subdomain in here as well. So it should look just like that. In here your subdomain and in here your subdomain. So we can save this again. And before I forget it, I nearly forgot to show you how to create the Psono network for Docker. So it's just Docker network create and then the name of your network. So those two Docker containers are running in the same network so they can find each other. So we're going to run this and then you can check it by Docker network ls. It's going to show you have the Psono network here. And with all that prepared, we can run docker compose up-d. It's going to pull those images if you haven't pulled them already, and then going to start up those containers, and then we can check them by running docker ps. It created those two containers and they are running and they're both healthy. According to the Psono documentation, we need to run a migration, so it's just this one little command, docker run, running a Psono container with the settings.yaml file into it, and then just running a Python 3 script that's called migrate. Going to execute that. Just going to take a second or two, and then it's prompting us that the operation that wants to apply, and then no migrations to apply, so it's all good here. And for some maintenance, we can also add a cron job. So let's change into etc cron d, and in here we can create a new file. We can call it Psono cron, and then also Psono provides us with the cron job for here, so we can just paste that in. It's this one. What this does is just every day at 2:30 a.m. it will run this command, docker run, going to create a Docker container with the Psono image and with the settings.yaml file mounted into it with a volume, and then run the Python script clear token. So we can save this, and you can test out this command if it's running, if it would run with this command, just the same command without the time stamp on it, and then it will just clear out any old tokens that might be inside those containers inside the SQL database. For me that's none because it hasn't run. And now our Psono password manager is already up and running, but we don't have a single user yet. We can run a command to create a user, and those are going to be the last two commands for this setup. This command will once again create a Docker container and run a script called create user. You're just going to change the email, the username, the password, and the email, which is the username as well, or should be the username. Let me just prepare this 1 second. Okay, so this is all set up. We can run this command, and then it should prompt us that it created the admin user at the sysadminhub.com with the password and this email. And after that, we can run the second command, which is this one, all provided by Psono documentation, to elevate this user to a super user or to promote the user. Once again, just change your command with your user, and I just saw that I'm missing an @ sign in here. So we're going to start the promotion, and then it will prompt us that it promoted the admin user to super user. And don't worry, you don't need to create every user like that, just the first user to make it to an admin. And after that, you can create as many users as you have or in your license or as you want in the admin backend. And now with all the containers running, we can actually use our setup, our password manager. Just enter your URL, your subdomain, and then the username. I believe it was admin user at the sys at what was the secure password 123, and then log in. It's going to show you this one, ignore and continue, wrong password for sure. Let's give this another try. And now we're in. So I had a typo in my password there for sure. And now you can use it just like this. Create a new password, create it. And the nice thing here is you can share it with other users on your container, on your password manager, with your family or in your business. And you can also make a link where you can share the password. You can make the link usable for like 3 times. You can enter a password in here, so they need to enter a password to see the password that you want to share with them. So this is this one. Let's see how this looks. And then it's going to ask for the passwords. I don't know, I was just typing along here. Don't even know what I was typing in. So that's this one, but there's also a backend dashboard for Psono. And to access this backend dashboard, you're just going to add portal at the end of your subdomain, and then it's going to prompt you with another login, admin user. Let me just copy that out. And now we are in here, and in here you can see those containers, that they're up and running, that they're healthy. You can see the version. You can see a little changelog in here for the client, for the portal, for the file server, everything. And you can also go here on the user page. And in here, first of all, you see your admin user, but you can also create new users here. So you don't need to always run those commands that I showed you before. And then you can deactivate those users, or you can reset their passwords, I believe, and stuff like that. And now you have your very own password manager, enterprise level password manager, all for free for up to 10 users. So that's really nice. And you run it on your own server, either in your home lab or on a cloud server in Docker. Just like what we love in this channel. And I forgot to mention, Psono also has an app for Android and iOS, and also an extension for browser, Edge, Firefox, and Chrome, I believe. So you can really implement this very well on everywhere where you use your passwords. If at any point you're having some trouble setting this up, or just some further questions, just drop them in the comments down below. I try to answer them all. And until then, see you next time.